Most people start their mornings reacting, rushing, worrying, but the few who win, they begin with intention. Before the world grabs their mind, they claim it. One small act, repeated daily, separates the scattered from the powerful. It doesn't take hours, just a choice, a ritual, a decision to lead your day before it leads you. In a few moments, I will teach you how to take control of your life by mastering one morning habit. Wake with purpose before the world wakes up. Before the birds stir, before the sun rises, before the world has its say, you must rise. Not to rush, not to scramble, but to own your moment. Most people open their eyes with no plan. They wait for the day to happen to them. But you're not most people. The moment you wake, you are at a crossroads. You can drift into another ordinary day, or you can command the day like a general stepping into battle. But here's the truth. If you wake without a mission, you surrender your power before you've even stood up. What does this mission look like? It's not loud, it's not grand, it's silent, internal. It starts by asking, what am I here to do today? Not what must I do, but what do I choose to build? Take 5 minutes, sit up in bed. Don't move until you've spoken purpose into your day. Today I advance. Today I endure. Today I rise no matter what tries to stop me. This simple act rewires your spirit. It conditions your mind to follow your will, not the other way around. Imagine a man who wakes before his children, before the factory bell rings, before his fields need tilling. He doesn't rush. He doesn't complain. He stands at the window, speaks his aim for the day, and then marches toward it. Will you wake and wonder what the day holds, or will you wake and tell the day what it will be? Confront the mirror and command your standard. When the world hasn't spoken yet, you stand in front of the mirror, not to see your reflection, but to face your standard. Who you are meets who you said you'd be. This moment matters more than people realize. Most walk past their mirror and avoid its stare, but every morning you must stop. Look yourself in the eye. Ask, am I becoming the man or woman I promised I'd become? You see, it's not the world that holds you back. It's not your job, not your family, not your surroundings. It's the quiet agreements you've made to stay the same. You tell yourself, maybe tomorrow I'll change. But the mirror knows better. So you stand still, you hold your gaze, and you say, today I set my tone. I don't wait to feel strong. I declare I am strong. I don't wait to feel motivated. I decide I am ready. Here's the secret. Confidence doesn't come after success. It comes before. It's earned in these silent declarations, repeated until belief becomes instinct. Think of the man in overalls rubbing sleep from his eyes. He looks into his cracked mirror, nods once, and steps into the world with his head held high, not because of who he is, but because of who he's becoming. Now ask yourself, when you look in the mirror tomorrow, will you speak power or excuse? Move your body before doubt wakes up, before hesitation arrives, before your mind reminds you of yesterday's failures. Move. You weren't designed to sit idle and think your way into greatness. You were built to act, to engage, to move blood before you move ideas. Most people wait. They say, well, let me wake up a little. But the longer you wait, the heavier the body becomes. And with it, your courage, your discipline, your clarity. The moment you put your body into motion, you remind yourself, you are not helpless. You are not stuck. You are not some fragile thing that needs to be careful. You are capable. You are alive. And movement is proof. It doesn't need to be a grand display. Stretch, walk. You're not building muscle. You're building certainty. You're telling your spirit, I go when it's hard. I go when I don't want to. I go. Imagine a man on a cold wooden floor, shivering as dawn breaks. He doesn't wait for comfort. He drops to the ground and starts counting. Not just reps, but reasons to rise. So ask yourself, are you moving because you feel ready, or do you move to become ready? Write down one bold, specific goal for the day. Too many people live in circles, busy but directionless. They check boxes but build nothing. That's because they never decide what matters. They never write it down. And what you don't write, you won't do. Each morning, write down one bold, specific goal. Not 10, not 5, one. One action that, if completed, would move your life forward. Why one? Because one done task outweighs 100 intentions. Because when everything matters, nothing does. This goal isn't about ease, it's about progress. It might be writing 3 pages, making a hard call, solving one nagging problem, whatever it is. It should matter. It should stretch you. And you should write it in ink, not just in thought. Imagine a craftsman pulling out a single piece of wood each morning, placing it on the bench and saying, this is today's work. He doesn't think about tomorrow's chair. He focuses on shaping today's cut. That's what builds mastery. So grab your notebook or tear a page from yesterday. Write your aim, then stare at it until it feels like a vow. The question is, will you let the day dictate your direction, or will you choose where to strike first? Speak gratitude before you speak complaint. Every morning you step into the arena of life, and the very first words you choose, before the world hears them, become the drumbeat of your day. Most people open their eyes with a sigh, a groan, a complaint, too early, too tired, too much. And just like that, they hand their energy to defeat before the day has even begun. They speak weakness, and weakness becomes their identity. But you are not average. You were not made to live on your knees. You were made to rise with purpose, with force, with direction. The secret is this: your words are not just sounds. They are seeds. What you plant first thing in the morning grows. And most people are planting weeds. They let the discomfort of the hour set the tone. They forget the mind is a battlefield and every complaint is a surrender. But power comes when you do the opposite, when you speak gratitude before complaint, strength before struggle, vision before fear. This is not about being soft or blindly optimistic. It's about discipline, precision, intensity. You don't say, "I'm thankful for life," and move on. You say, "I'm thankful my lungs are strong enough to breathe. I'm thankful my scars didn't break me. I'm thankful that even if I've failed 1,000 times, I woke up with one more chance to fight." These are not affirmations, they are declarations. Weapons forged in silence, power spoken into motion. Picture a man waking in darkness. His body hurts, his past haunts him. The weight of the world is already pressing against his shoulders. But instead of complaining, he sits up and says, "Thank you." Not because he's comfortable, not because it's easy, but because he understands one truth. The fight is not over. He's still breathing, still moving, still becoming. And that alone is enough to be dangerous. You don't need everything to start strong. You need the right focus. If you begin the day counting your weapons, your grit, your breath, your hope, your hands, you rise with a different spirit. The world doesn't shape you. You shape the world. But if you start the day counting your wounds, your lack, your doubts, then you fight with a limp you gave yourself. Every morning is a battle between fear and faith, between comfort and courage. So ask yourself, before you speak, are you reinforcing the version of you that's tired, small, and afraid, or the version that is rising, ready, and unbreakable? The answer is always in the words. Review your vision, not the news. Each morning, before the noise of the world has a chance to invade, you stand at a threshold. And whether you realize it or not, that threshold is sacred. It's the gate between your inner world and everything external, the drama, the deadlines, the doubts and distractions. If you leave that gate unguarded, chaos walks in without knocking. The first message you allow to enter your mind becomes the seed from which your entire day grows. And for most people, that seed is sour. They wake up and reach for a newspaper. They absorb headlines soaked in fear, complaints dressed as conversation, or digital noise screaming urgency over clarity. The moment they consume that first negative input, they surrender their agency. They are no longer leading the mind. They are being led by someone else's fears, someone else's focus, someone else's noise. But you were not built to be an echo. You were built to create, to lead, to architect something greater. And architects do not begin a day by reacting. They begin by consulting the blueprint. That blueprint is your vision, the picture of the life you are building brick by brick. If you do not see that blueprint first thing in the morning, you will forget why the struggle matters. You will lose clarity on what you are building. And worst of all, you'll spend the day constructing someone else's project while your own foundation crumbles quietly beneath you. You must make it a ritual. Before the world intrudes, take 3 minutes. Sit in silence. Let the mind settle like dust after a storm. Pick up your vision, not as a distant dream, but as a present instruction. Read the goals you've written, not passively, but with belief. Speak one line aloud, a line that lifts you, that sharpens you, that reminds you of the reason behind every discipline you carry. Maybe it's, "I am a builder of strength," or "I command my fate," or "I move toward wealth with discipline." These are not affirmations. They are declarations, weapons, shields. They are how you armor your mind before battle. Picture a man sitting in a dim kitchen. The morning is cold, but he doesn't complain. He opens a worn notebook, the same one he's filled with hopes, plans, and truths. He reads his dream again, not because he's unsure, but because repetition turns belief into reality. He steps into the day, not with noise, but with direction. So ask yourself, what enters your mind first, your purpose or someone else's panic? Eliminate one excuse you made yesterday. There is a subtle force that eats away at greatness, not with fire, not with fury, but with quiet permission. It is the habit of making peace with excuses. It disguises itself in soft language. I was too tired. I didn't feel like it. It wasn't the right time. These phrases seem harmless, almost reasonable, but they are not. They are the first cracks in the dam, the quiet surrender of your power. And the moment you allow even one to pass without confrontation, you've begun to train your mind that it's acceptable to retreat when pressure arrives. Excuses are not just delays. They are lies in disguise. They are masks for comfort dressed up as reasons. And here's the truth. The more often you allow them to slide, the deeper they burrow into your identity. You tell yourself, I couldn't help it enough times. And soon you begin to believe you're the kind of person who can't follow through, the kind of person who always falls short. And that is a dangerous shift, because once a weakness becomes part of your self-concept, it controls you. You stop trying to overcome it and start defending it. But that is not your path. You are not here to defend weakness. You are here to defeat it. And that requires a daily practice not of motivation, but of inspection. Each morning you must turn on the light, go back to the previous day. Expose one excuse that you gave yourself. Don't ignore it. Don't sugarcoat it. Write it down. Look it in the eye. I didn't finish because I was distracted. I skipped the hard task because it felt overwhelming. I wasted time talking about the goal instead of working on it. Then ask yourself the hard question. Is this who I am? Or is this who I've allowed myself to become? That question alone draws a line in the sand, and once it's drawn, you get to choose which side you stand on. Will you let that excuse stand as truth? Or will you destroy it and replace it with power? Now take the next step. Turn that awareness into a vow, not a wish, a vow. Wishes float, vows root. They bind you to action. Declare it clearly and simply. Today I will work uninterrupted for 2 hours. Today I complete the task before I speak of tiredness. Today I finish what I start, no matter how I feel. These are not empty promises. These are weapons, forged in self-respect, swung in daily battle. This single habit of confronting and eliminating one excuse per day is like a craftsman who sharpens his blade each morning before he strikes. He doesn't ask if the blade is dull, he assumes it is, because use causes wear. He sharpens anyway, because a dull edge left unchecked becomes useless. So it is with the mind. Now picture this. A man sits quietly at a table. Before him lies a list of things left undone, calls unmade, pages half written, promises delayed. He takes a pen, circles one item, and says aloud, "No more excuses." He doesn't wait for inspiration. He doesn't negotiate. He simply chooses to finish what weakness once interrupted. That one act changes the tone of his entire day. So the question is not whether you have excuses. You do. We all do. The question is what you'll tolerate today. Will you let excuses run the show, or will you rise above them, one by one, until they no longer define you? Because each time you destroy an excuse, you elevate your life. Set a standard for your energy. How you show up matters more than where you show up. That simple truth separates the powerful from the passive, the builders from the drifters. The world loves to talk about location, what city you live in, what room you walk into, what company you work for. But the real secret? Success is not rooted in location. It's rooted in presence. It's not where you are. It's who you are when you arrive. You don't command a room by standing in it. You command a room by owning how you enter it. And that command doesn't start at the door. It begins long before. It starts the moment you rise. The moment your eyes open, the game begins. Most people move like leftovers, tired, reactive, resigned. They slump from bed to routine without a trace of intention. They let the day pull them instead of deciding to pull the day. But you must be different. You must move before you're moved. Because energy doesn't appear by accident. It's generated. It's cultivated. It's chosen. You cannot expect to bring presence to a meeting if you have not brought power to your morning. And that power is built in small, invisible choices. Do you lie there waiting for motivation? Or do you swing your feet off the bed and decide to move with strength? Do you walk slowly, half awake, dragging through the day's beginning? Or do you breathe with control, straighten your spine, and step with purpose? You are training yourself moment by moment. And every motion either adds to your intensity or subtracts from it. Energy is not just about feeling good. It's not about hype. It's about presence, clarity, direction. It's a discipline. And just like any muscle, it must be trained. Strength doesn't appear from comfort. It comes from consistent, deliberate demand. You don't wait to feel confident. You act with confidence until it grows. You don't wait to be ready. You prepare yourself until readiness is who you are. If you don't consciously cultivate this energy, the world will cultivate it for you. And the world's default setting is fatigue, distraction, scattered thought, empty movement. If you allow that to seep in, you'll start your day behind, and every room you walk into will feel heavier than it should. But if you choose your energy deliberately, if you stand tall even when no one sees, if you speak with intention even when it's just to yourself, if you move with control even through routine, then you walk into rooms differently. You carry yourself like someone who knows why they're there, and that presence is unmistakable. Picture a man walking into a small, ordinary shop. His clothes are plain, his steps are quiet. But when he enters, heads turn, not because he demands attention, but because he doesn't. His posture is precise, his breath steady, his eyes clear, and the room reacts, not to his words, but to his energy. It's calm but strong, silent but sharp. He radiates direction, not noise. Why? Because he trained it. He decided it. He didn't wait for the world to offer energy. He brought it. That's the kind of presence that shifts outcomes. And it starts long before the moment of performance. It starts in solitude. It starts in your room, in your hallway, in your mirror. It starts in the discipline of choosing how you move, how you stand, how you breathe. Even when no one's watching, ask yourself, do you drift into your day with whatever feeling shows up first, or do you command it? Do you wait for the mood to arrive, or do you create the mood with movement, posture, focus? You do not need a spotlight to build presence. You do not need a crowd to train intensity. You need only a moment and a decision to show up like it matters, because it does. You're not just walking into rooms, you're walking into destiny, into decisions, into battles and breakthroughs that require you to bring your full self, not a diluted version shaped by convenience. So tomorrow, before the world makes a single demand of you, make one of yourself. Show up before you're called. Build your energy before you're tested. Carry your presence before you speak. That is how leaders move. That is how power walks in, not with noise, but with decision. Practice one act of mental resistance. The strongest people in the world don't always wear their strength on their sleeves. They don't always move with noise or boast about their power. Their strength lies deeper, in a place no one sees. It's in their ability to say no. Not just once, but over and over again. Not now. That simple phrase, spoken to desire, is the foundation of inner power. Because true strength is not the ability to lift something heavy. It's the ability to resist something tempting, the discipline to delay pleasure, the mental fortitude to stay the course when comfort whispers detours. Each morning, before the world makes its demands, you must train that strength. Not with noise, not with grand declarations, but with a quiet act of resistance. Something small, something simple, something that reminds your body that you are in charge. Take your coffee black, even if you prefer it sweet. Finish your reading before you eat. Step into your work before you open your mouth. These are not punishments. They're not self-denial. They're proof. Proof that you are not a slave to your impulses. Proof that your mind responds to command, not craving. Proof that you are the master of your own momentum. Why does this matter? Because temptation is everywhere. And it never arrives dressed as danger. It comes dressed as ease, as justice once, as you deserve it. It doesn't break the strong all at once. It chips away at them piece by piece. The man who cannot say no to sugar, to sleep, will never be able to say yes to the demands of greatness, because greatness doesn't come gently. It demands sacrifice, precision, focus. And these traits are born from daily decisions made in silence. Imagine a young man. The alarm rings at 5 a.m. The room is dark. The air is cold. And every cell in his body begs him to return to warmth, to delay, to hit snooze and try again later. But instead, he throws off the blanket, places his feet on the floor, and whispers, "I said 5 a.m., so I rise at 5 a.m." That single act seems small, insignificant, but it's not. It is a declaration, a line drawn, a message to his mind. We don't bow to mood. We honor our word. This is how strength is built, not in crowds, not in chaos. but in early hours when the only witness is your own reflection. You don't need applause for these moments. You don't need anyone to understand, because these small resistances stack. Each one is a brick in your mental fortress. And one day, when a real storm comes, when temptation doesn't feel like sugar but feels like betrayal, failure, distraction, collapse, you will be ready. Not because you trained in battle, but because you trained before the battle. You don't win your life by reacting to everything that arrives. You win it by deciding who you are before the test comes. You build your code and you live by it. You make your vow and you protect it. You set your standard and you reinforce it. That's how warriors move. That's how leaders rise. They don't need motivation to do what's right. They need only a reminder of what they promised themselves. So ask yourself, what resistance will you practice today? Will you deny the first urge to reach for comfort? Will you walk one more lap when your legs ache? Will you delay speaking until your words are necessary? These are the questions that sharpen you. These are the choices that harden your will, not into stone, but into steel. Flexible, durable, unbreakable. The strongest version of you is not built by chance. It's built by challenge. Not the kind that life throws at you, but the kind you choose to throw at yourself. So every morning, give yourself a task to resist. One quiet battle. One invisible victory. Not because you have something to prove to the world, but because you must prove daily that your word means more than your move. That is the path to power. Not a loud one, but